You know, in any wood shop, there's always one tool that just stands out. It's not the one for just cutting straight lines, nope. It's for bringing your imagination to life. So today, we're going to dive deep into the bandsaw, what I like to call the artist tool for shaping wood.
Have you ever looked at a piece of furniture, one with these beautiful sweeping curves, and just thought, how on earth did they do that with solid wood? Well, the secret isn't magic. It's actually a masterpiece of engineering, and it's what unlocks all that creative freedom.
So, let me introduce you to the bandsaw. Seriously, for any woodworker who's tired of being stuck with just straight lines, this is the essential tool. That unique, continuous blade you see? That's the key. It's what lets you create everything from super simple curves to some really intricate, complex designs.
Okay, but hold on. Before we even think about making a single cut, we gotta talk about the fundamental rules of the shop. And look, this isn't just about safety checklists. It's about respecting the tool and really setting ourselves up for success from the get-go. All right, let's break this down, make it super simple. You've got your guidelines. Those are the rules telling you what not to do to stay safe, right? Then you have procedures. That's your step-by-step playbook, the how-to. And standards? That's where it gets interesting. That's about elevating your work, doing it the right way. Getting all three of those down, that's the real foundation of craftsmanship.
All right, with that safety foundation locked in, let's get to the really exciting part, making the wood do exactly what we want it to. And trust me, this is where the bandsaw really, truly shines.
So first up, let's talk about the miter cut. This is just a classic angled cut. Think about it. If you've ever seen a picture frame where the corners meet perfectly, yeah, that's a miter cut in action. It's an absolutely fundamental skill for making any kind of box or frame. And that right there, that simple idea, captures the very essence of good woodworking. See, a perfect miter isn't just about sticking two pieces of wood together. It's about making that seam completely disappear. It's that level of precision that takes a project from looking homemade to looking truly handcrafted. Okay, so from clean corners, let's move on to making really strong connections. And for that, we need to talk about the tenon. This is an absolute cornerstone of classic joinery. All it is, really, is a precisely cut tongue on one piece of wood that fits perfectly into a little slot, we call that a mortise, on another piece. And this is where it really matters, in the real world, you know? This technique is fundamental if you want to build furniture that's actually going to last. Just think about a good, sturdy chair. I can almost guarantee you the legs are joined to the frame using tenons. That's what creates a connection that can handle decades of use.
Exactly. And here's why it's so strong. A screw, it just kind of bites into the wood fibers. But a tenon creates this huge surface area for glue and spreads the stress out across the entire joint. That incredible mechanical strength is exactly why this method has been trusted for centuries to create heirloom furniture, stuff that's designed to last for generations.
Okay, now we get to the bandsaw's main event, the thing it's famous for, cutting curves. This is what sets it apart from pretty much every other saw in the shop. It's what lets you create those beautiful, organic, flowing lines that just bring a design to life. You know, this is the point where the bandsaw stops feeling like a tool and starts feeling more like an instrument. It just unlocks total creative freedom. You're no longer stuck with straight lines and boring right angles. Suddenly, you can get inspiration from flowing water, from the way a tree branches out. Literally any organic shape you can dream up. And hey, from general curves, we can get even more specific. With a pretty simple jig, a bandsaw can cut nearly perfect circles. This is so useful for things like round tabletops, or the seat of a stool, or any kind of decorative element you can think of. I know it sounds kind of obvious to say, but it's a really fundamental point. For a ton of designs, whether it's a simple stool or complex tabletop, a perfect circle is just non-negotiable. And the bandsaw is what makes getting that perfection not just possible, but easy to repeat over and over again. Okay, this is where you can just let your imagination run completely wild. We're talking about totally custom shapes, fancy decorative flourishes, all those one-of-a-kind pieces that you really can't make any other way. And really, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? When you truly master the bandsaw, you're not just a woodworker following a set of plans anymore. You're an artist. You have the power to take a unique vision from your mind and turn it into a physical, lasting piece of work.
So, we've covered how to use it, which is awesome, but a true craftsperson knows that it's just as important to care for their tools. Look, proper maintenance isn't a chore, it's a responsibility. It's what ensures your safety, your precision, and the life of your saw. Let's start with the heart of the machine itself, the blade.
Knowing how to change this thing out safely and correctly is, well, it's totally non-negotiable. It's a task every single bandsaw owner is going to have to do sooner or later.
So why would you need to change it? Well, it usually comes down to two key reasons. First, your blade gets dull, and a dull blade leads to sloppy and frankly dangerous cuts. Or second, the job you're doing just needs a different blade, like swapping to a really narrow one for tight curves or a much wider one for cutting straight planks.
And listen, I really can't overstate this. Using a dull blade, or the wrong blade for the job, it can break, it can cause the wood to bind up, it's just not good. Taking those few extra moments to make sure you have the right blade on there is one of the most important safety checks you can possibly make, period.
All right, finally, let's talk about keeping everything moving smoothly. A bandsaw has a lot of moving parts, and just like the engine in your car, it needs regular lubrication to prevent all that wear and tear.
So, where do you need to focus? First, pay close attention to those big wheels at the top and bottom. The blade runs on those, and they need oil to spin freely. Then you'll want to use grease on the guide blocks and any other moving joints. These simple little steps are what prevent friction and heat buildup, and trust me, those are the biggest enemies of precision and a long-lasting machine. Because at the end of the day, a smooth-running machine is a safer machine, a more accurate machine, and a machine that's going to last you a whole lot longer. This one simple act of care protects your investment and, just as importantly, makes sure your saw is ready to go whenever that inspiration strikes. So when you step back and look at it, the bandsaw is so much more than just a machine for cutting wood. It's really a key that unlocks a whole new dimension of your creativity. You get the safety, you know the techniques, and now you understand the care it needs. So really, there's only one question left. What are you going to create?